Welcome to Hoffman's Hunting Heritage.
From Great Lakes to the Heartland, from mountains to the sea, there's a hunting heritage in the blood of folks like you and me. With rut and bucks and goblin struts, it's hunting that we love. Mother Nature guides us on this land, and we give thanks up above. This hunting heritage is a bond that never fades away. We're your camo wearing family from across the USA. So fill your cup and listen up, y'all mean so much to me. It's time for the show, so go grab your bow. This is a wild place to be.
Hi, this is Dave Graham with Advanced Tree Stands.
This is Stephanie Brown with Langia.com.
This is Chef Derek Singerman with Backyard Bow Pro.
Jerry Widener with Hunter Safety System.
Crystal Mahoney with Whitetail Widowmaker.
Jake Hacker, the Everyday Outdoorsman.
Johnny B from Johnny B's Taxidermy.
Ken Frank from Michigan Waterfowlers.
Hey, this is Audrey from Scent Crusher.
Dr. Brian Hall, and you're listening to one of my favorite podcasts, Hoffman's Hunting Heritage.
Hello, and welcome back to another, well, I usually say thrilling episode, but I don't know how thrilling this one's going to be, but it will be informational. So let's try that one more time. Hello, and welcome back to a informational episode of Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. Of course, I'm your host, Bill Hoffman, and as I teased you guys last week, I told you that this week would be all about tips and tricks for the outdoors. Now, I kind of sat down and just went through the list of things in my mind that I've heard over the years of, why didn't I think of that? And to be 100% completely open and honest, I didn't think of any of these. But they're things that I've learned over the years from people much smarter than me, or maybe not even smarter, let's go with experienced, but much more experienced than me in the outdoors. And they were, those light bulb moments. Hey, that's a really good idea. I like that. And, most of these I have no idea how I learned them or where I learned them, but just that I did. And I wanted to share them with you. So I've got 8 of them, or maybe 10. Maybe I'll think of some more on the way through the list. But the first one, I'm just going to go ahead and hop right in, comes to face paint. Now, I, as a traditional bow hunter through my past, now, I use a compound and I even hunt with a crossbow too, but I do like to hunt with a recurve as well as my mission bows. I like face paint because, everything in archery really, but everything when it comes directly down to traditional archery, a lot of it relies on doing the same thing over and over and finding that anchor point. And I find with a lot of the masks, I can't find that right anchor point. It just doesn't work out for me. So I generally go with face paint. Now, for years and years, I've been using the greasy camo, the hunter specialties, 3-color. I've tried the dead downwind 5-color wheel. I've tried it all, and they can claim that it's easy to come off. I've tried Camo FX. They claim it's easy to wipe off. They claim that it's not greasy, that it doesn't run. Whatever. Guess what? It does. It's all hard to get off. I don't care if you claim it's not. Now, I guess we have to define hard to get off. A lot of times I'm at hunting camp and I want to take a baby wipe and be able to wipe my face clean. If a baby wipe doesn't cut it, it's hard to get off. If you have to take soap and a washcloth and scrub it off, then I don't think it's, easy to come off. That doesn't mean I don't use it. Of course I still use it, because before I knew this next tip and trick, I always had to. But the next tip is actually using a burnt cork to blacken your face. Now, it doesn't have to be anything special. You literally take a cork from a bottle of wine and you burn it. you char it, just the end. You just hold your lighter up, you char the end, you let it cool down, of course, and then you rub that charred end on your face, and it'll make a line. Then you can spread out that line with your fingertips or by reapplying the lighter to get more char on your cork. And it lasts super, super long. And the best thing about it is one baby wipe and it's gone. The only downside to this, if it's early season and it's hot and you're sweating, it will sweat off. But generally, that's not an issue when we're talking about hunting in the fall season. So a burnt cork replaces greasy, messy face paints. It's simply that easy. It's great in the goose blind. It's great for archery. It's great for anything. And if you think it really matters that you have different colors on your face, that's marketing. You're falling into marketing. All you want to really do is take the dull. You want to dull out your face. You don't want to make it shiny or bright and white. Even just a few lines. You don't got to go all Chris Brackett and draw war paint. You can do that if you want to look like a fool in a tree. I'm not saying that he is, but I mean, if you're doing your makeup that hardcore just to go out and hunt your back 40, it's different than that dude doing it because it's marketing. But whatever. If you want to look like the ultimate warrior 18 feet up in a tree with a stick and a string, go ahead. But I still suggest you use a burnt cork. It will save you time. It will save you money because it's free and it's easy to clean up. So speaking of saving you time and money, a lot of guys don't sharpen their own broadheads. And even so, on to that point, a lot of guys they're not very good at sharpening their own knives, or they don't do their own axes or any of their own blades, or they use like a commercial grinder that's meant for kitchen shears or even the quick pull through rods. You know what? I am a fan of the quick pull through carbide rods or the ceramic rods. They're great for touch ups, but how do you know when you've actually got a new edge? Well, if you're not very experienced, or even if you are experienced on doing edges, and this goes with knives and anything I mentioned, hell, even your kitchen shears, use a Sharpie. How? You can't use a Sharpie to sharpen a knife. It's called a Sharpie for a different reason. I know. That was a really lame joke. But anyway, you actually take a Sharpie and you draw on the fine edge of the blade. And what that does is, as you're sharpening, you get to a point where you can't see the Sharpie pen on the blade anymore. That means you've exposed new metal. That means you are down to a new edge. Now, if you can see Sharpie on one side, but not on the other, you obviously know that you've got to switch sides and start working on that other side. And you do that until you get a burr on one side. You do it again until the burr's gone. And now on the other side, then you take that, you got that wire edge, you just polish it up, get rid of that burr, and voila, you've got a sharp edge. It's pretty simple. A lot of people, they don't think about it. It works really good if you're doing touch-ups in like a low light situation, because, you might not be able to see that edge blade really, or that blade edge really good, but you can see if there's a big blue line on it, a big blue Sharpie line or not. And like I said, just file it down till the Sharpie's gone. Voila. So again, the first two tips are not really anything that's going to cost you a ton of money. We're talking about a Sharpie or a marker, which you probably have laying around your house, and a cork and a lighter. And right along then, as an outdoorsman, you have paracord, because I have preached, and okay, we can say it, I've bitched at you to make sure you always have paracord on you. You always have some form of rope. Even in any survival instance, you can make a quick tourniquet with it. You can make a sling out of it. You can drag deer, in an emergency. You can hang your kill from a tree with it. There's an endless amount of things you can do with paracord. And one of those ways to always have paracord with you that is also a benefit is to take the laces right out of the boots that you're wearing. Now, of course, if you're wearing rubber boots or anything like that, but if you're just wearing hiking boots, as soon as you get them home, get those laces out, relace them with paracord for a few reasons. One, it's going to last longer because it is actually waterproof. It's not going to dry rot or swell up or absorb water because, those are the type of places that we hike and hunt. But not only is it going to last longer, but you can pull it tighter. You can get a better knot on it, and it's just better overall than 100% of the laces out there, unless some manufacturers actually using 550 paracord. And so I don't know if the tip is, boot lace, you lace your boots with paracord, or if it's just have paracord on you. I guess it's a mixture of both, because it truly is a 100% useful item to have on you in almost every situation. You can never have enough, and it's like crazy ass cheap. So why not? So, moving forward, let's go ahead with, now that this tip doesn't exactly apply to everyone. This tip more applies to us guys that hunt the Midwest, that have stand locations that are set. Perhaps it's the same stand every year, like a field edge stand, or the same area every year. Most likely going to be private property. And this basically revolves around raking out or mowing your way in. Now, the importance of being quiet when getting in the stand is fundamental. It's elementary, honestly. You can't shoot anything if you scare everything away on your way in the stand. And in the fall, if you're trudging through leaves, especially in the dark, we're all a little clumsier in the dark coming into our stands in the morning. So what I suggest is, before the season opens, or, even in the early season, is get out there and literally rake or mow the path. I have one spot I hunt that is way back in the woods, and I do take a mowed path that it's like a four-wheeler path, or a farm vehicle path. And, I will take that all the way as far as I can, but then I'm going to have to walk into the hardwoods, and I've seen it. The deer are used to vehicles, guys. They are 100% used to the ATVs and the four-wheelers and stuff. Now, they might not be 100% tolerant of it if it stops and a guy hops off and everything, but they are used to these paths being there, and they use these paths. So you going out and creating a new path to your tree stand, the deer's not going to go, oh, new path, and walk it and then get to the base of your tree, look up, see a tree stand, and say, screw this. It's just not going to happen. They may use your path because deer are inherently lazy. They will use the shortest route. But a lot of the paths that I make going to my setups are literally 10 inches wide. It's just wide enough for me to get in silently. And it might snake through the woods and snake through a tree. And like I said, this is mostly going to be a private property thing, because, on public land, it might be a little bit different. Public land, there might be laws in some states against you doing it on public land. There's not in Michigan, but, you don't want to tell everybody on public land where you're hunting, I guess, is really what it comes down to, whether it's theft or, you come out one morning and someone beat you to your own stand. So public land, you have to be a little bit more creative. But on private land, this can be done with the brush hog. This can be done with a lawnmower, or just a simple handheld leaf blower. Sometimes that's what I use. The deer, and even if you do spook a few deer when you're putting your path in, they're not going to, because you fire up the leaf blower, right? They're not going to associate that leaf blower with a hunter, because they hear leaf blowers, at least, in my suburban areas, they hear leaf blowers, they hear mulchers, they hear chainsaws, they hear farm equipment. They hear the donkeys next door to where I hunt. So it's just another sound. So, they probably won't view you as a hunting threat, as far as, coming in there and using the leaf blower. But if you don't want to use the leaf blower, and a lot of times I don't, just because I don't want to haul the leaf blower and the gas and all that crap out there, just a short little rake, and you just simply rake your way in or rake your way out, and you've got a path. Now, if the leaves are going to fall, so eventually your path might get covered up in leaves, but really, if you can, hit it just about the time the first time in the spring, just to remove anything. And then again, once the leaves do actually fall, just a quick touch up. If you're still hunting that same setup, you're going to be good for the season. And again, a lot of us have a lot of multiple stand setups, or this doesn't work. But if you do have that one pinch point, or especially if you're going to a food plot, it's a really good tip. It's a really good way to get in there quiet. So, and again, just being prepared. A lot of these tips just come down to being prepared. And, you know, I got one more here in segment 1 when it comes to being prepared. And I honestly feel that, and of course I don't look in your guys' bags, but I know what I carry in the field. And I'm not talking just about, you know, going out on hunts out west or hunts in the big woods, or I'm talking about hunting the back 40. I don't think guys carry enough survival gear. I really don't. Yes, it's your back 40 acres. Yes, you know every tree. Yes, you may have planted every damn tree, but you don't know if you're going to be spending the night out there, whether, you know, you fall, you twist your ankle, you know, cell coverage doesn't always work. Cell phones die. Hopefully someone's coming to look for you because you've set up a plan with them. They know when you're supposed to be back in. But we have to prepare for the worst, even when we're hunting on our home property. Even in our home property, things look different in the dark. So one of the survival aspects that, you know, I always preach when I talk to people is the value of staying still. So, you know, the value of not getting more lost. Okay? One night in the woods is not going to kill you under 90% of the circumstances, right? Unless it's, you know, temperature reliant, you know, I mean, but even if it is bad weather, bad temperature, if you take heed of this next tip, you're going to be okay. And that is fire starters. And I've got a few different kinds of fire starters on me at all times, but also, you know, you can be creative with what's around you. But I'll just run down the two that I normally always have with me. I generally always have a Ziploc baggie full of corn chips. Now, these can be Doritos or they can be Fritos. Fritos actually, I think they work better. They're greasier. But the reason I have these is the oil in the corn in them. Just light a Dorito on fire. It burns for minutes, and it really is a great fire starter. They're always dry. They're stale, so yeah, I guess you could eat them if you needed the calories in an emergency situation. But you know, I just use what's stale, or you know, I grab a little mini bag at the beginning of the season, and they can be crushed up because you can pour them in a little cup or a little pile. It doesn't matter. But corn chips, honestly, are a really good survival fire starter to have. They're not the best. I think the best is my second one. But that being said, I always do usually have corn chips on me. The second one, and I think is the best for survival situations, is a cotton ball that you've rubbed petroleum jelly into, or Vaseline. And then, but they're messy. So that's the downside, right? The chips, you know, they go in a little bag and they're dry, they're stale, they're there, whatever. The cotton balls can be messy. So what works great is putting them in like a prescription medicine bottle. Just take the label off the medicine bottle and, you know, you've got a sealed top that twists tight. And, you know, it keeps all the grease and the smell and all of the petroleum jelly in that. And the reason these are great is they will burn for 4 to 6 minutes per cotton ball. And depending on the size of, and they never go bad. It's not like the petroleum jelly dries up or anything. So, I mean, you can literally, yeah, they're messy to make. They are, but you're going to make them once and have them for years. So whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Just go to the store, get some cotton balls, just regular old cotton balls, nothing special, some petroleum jelly, rub them in there, basically make them, you know, squish it all in there, make them till they're, you know, about the size of like a peanut M&M or whatnot, and just pack the entire thing full, and you'll have fire starters for years. And again, 4 to 6 minutes on one of those bad boys. So you get a rock, you put that thing on a rock, you get your kindling set, and you light that thing up. You're going to have a visible flame. you build up from there, and you have heat, you have fire. More importantly, since you're lost, you're staying in one place, because if you're staying in one place, it makes it a lot easier for people to come find you. And when people are trying to find you, it makes it even easier if they can see your fire. So anyway, went a little long there in segment 1, maybe a little rambling too. But again, these are just kind of off the top of my head, the things that, you know, when I have in my pack or I talk about around the campfire, people go, oh yeah, that's a pretty good idea. So I thought it would make a good episode. But this one, definitely, this next one was definitely like a light bulb moment for me because here I was absolutely bitching one day on the archery course about not being able to keep my tips screwed in. And what happened is, you know, when you shoot right wing helical or left wing helical, depend on, you know, which way you go. And especially when you're shooting right wing helical, the arrow is spinning through the air a certain direction, right? And when it makes contact with the target, the head stops spinning, but the shaft for that brief second is still spinning. Just a brief second. And as the arrow builds, you know, buries itself into the target. And the problem that causes is it tends to loosen up your tips, which is not a huge ordeal because you should be checking them anyway, whether you're shooting 3D or target archery or whatnot. But still, it's kind of a pain in the butt. So an old timer one day showed me, and you just it's quite simple to stop that from happening. You simply take out the thread, or you thread out the tip, and you can do this on your broadheads too. Although I don't think you really need to on broadheads, but still. It will keep them solid. So you take out the tip, and on the threads of the tip, you just spin it around and drag it around on your bowstring wax. You know, you've got a bow and arrow, so you've got bowstring wax. If you don't have bowstring wax, get bowstring wax. You should be waxing your strings. So all you have to do is just that. You don't cake it in there, just enough to have it in there, and then you screw it back into the threads. And what it does is it just stops that head from unscrewing. It almost works like a Loctite. Of course, you can still unscrew it by hand, but it provides just enough resistance to keep your heads tight. It's pretty simple. I mean, you simply just take wax, put it on the threads, and screw it into the shaft. It's that easy. And speaking of easy, again, we're talking about things that are gonna not cost you money. I think the most expensive thing I've told you so far is to buy paracord, and that's dirt cheap. So again, keeping with the cheapness of these tips and tricks and the things that won't cost you a lot of money, not only won't cost you money, but will save you money because you're saving money by not buying the expensive face paint. And now you're going to save money by not buying hunter-specific deodorant. Oh my gosh, what a waste. Hunter-specific deodorant, I've seen it sell for sticks for like $5.99, $6.99, $7.99 for scent-free, carbon-based body deodorant, blah, blah. Come on, that is total crap. Generally, it's not that great of a deodorant, and you're paying extra for it because it comes in a camouflage or it says Hunter Specialties on it. Again, I'm not bagging on Hunter Specialties. I use their products. They're the ones that come to mind because they market the most of it. But when it comes to deodorant, Suave makes a scent-free white deodorant. It's not marketed towards men or women. It's kind of like neutral coloring. It's white. It's got like a blue and purple line on it. It generally is the cheapest deodorant in the store. Generally, it's like $1.99, and it is absolutely a fantastic option when it comes to keeping scent-free in the woods. Now, my point is, of course, we want to be scent-free. We don't want any human scent. We don't want any perfumes or deodorants. And here's a great idea. Hunter Specialties does make a fantastic shampoo and body wash. It's the one I buy every year. I buy the big, huge green jug of it. It's scent-free. It gets rid of all the odors on you. So there. I got some good mention of a product placement in there for Hunter Specialties. But I really do actually like their body wash. But you don't need to be buying their deodorant. It costs $4 to $5 too much. It doesn't last as long. It doesn't work as good. The Suave there's nothing added. I don't know what they use to market it, or I think it might even be suave, scent free, or no added perfumes or chemicals. It works fantastic, works phenomenal. It's what I use every day. I don't need to be smelling like Old Spice every day or Degree Super Sport Athletic. Come on. I don't need any of that. I just need to not stink. and honestly, the Suave does the trick, and it's cheap. And a lot of times even they have like really good sales where you can get like 3 of them for $3.99 or something like that. And so I'll just stock up on it. Always have it. Throw one in my bag. There. Done. Boom. Cheap and works phenomenal. So anyway, while we're out of that stinky part of the conversation, here is a idea that I think I may have came up with myself. Now, I have seen other forms or variations of this done. However, I do think in deep down in my heart that I started doing this on my own, that I thought about this on my own and did it myself. And it comes to protecting your muzzle loader in wet hunts. And what I mean by that is, so, you know, with the muzzle loader, we drop our powder down in, and then depending on if you're using a sabot or a wad, you drop that down in with your round, and you have that sitting down in there. And a lot of us, you know, will hang the gun up either by the strap on a tree, but anyway, the barrel's pointing up towards the sky. And my thought process was, well, you know, if snow goes down the barrel, that's obviously an issue because you can't shoot a gun with the barrel being blocked, but you might not see snow if it had melted. Or what about if it's raining? Because I like to hunt in the rain. If it's raining, the deer are moving. So, within reason, of course. And I just started thinking to myself, well, what if that water goes down the barrel and gets the wad wet, which wettens the powder, then it doesn't ignite properly or at all. Just so many issues. And it just came to me, and I went out to the party store and I bought a 25 or 50 pack of black balloons, just regular old party balloons. So what I literally do is put a condom on my barrel pretty much. But I will, drop the powder, drop the sabot down, drop the bullet down, they go together, the sleeve, and I will, pack it down, make sure it's seated correctly. And then I use a scope, so I don't need the fiber optic on the gun. That might be a little bit different if you do, but I take a black balloon and I just put it over the barrel and just pull it down, and it, the mouth on the balloon sits tight on the barrel. And it just works to keep any moisture or debris or anything from traveling down the barrel of my muzzle loader. And another thing that's cool about it is it's not like I have to take it off for the shot. That balloon is 100% not going to affect anything in regards to accuracy or shot placement or anything. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if the balloon is ripped open before the projectile even reaches it due to the velocity and the expansion of everything going forward. So I don't know if that's science. You'd have to look that up. But the thin plastic, or rubber, I should say, of a balloon is not going to affect your shot. It's only going to help save you by keeping your charge dry. So that was pretty much my final tip. But I did think of one other thing. I want to go a little bit shorter here, in segment 2, since segment 1 ran a little long. But it came to the idea of raking. And I talked about raking our paths in and out, and how important it is to get in and out silently. And what I failed to mention that I did want to bring up with that topic was the idea of raking out the ground too. Not only the ground around your tree stand, but the ground around your blind. And the reason you want to rake out the ground around your tree stand is, I always drop shit. Just say it, call it what it is. Whether it's a water bottle, it doesn't matter. But if you drop something on bare ground, it's a lot quieter than dropping it on a pile of leaves. So that's one reason. The other reason is, again, it's just getting in and out perfectly dead quiet. But where it really comes into raking the ground is raking out the ground of your ground blinds. Whether you're using a pop-up style or a natural ground blind, you really do want to rake out the ground, get it down to either bare grass or bare dirt. And I actually do this after a lot of times anyway, depending on how much is there, I will do it after I put the blind down and kind of figure out where it is. I will put the blind down, figure out where it is, and kind of rake away from it. Then you can pick the blind up and you can kind of see your corners to where you're raking. But don't rake too far, because what you're going to do is you're going to put your blind down and then you're going to stake it down and do, again, we're talking about portable pop-ups. You're going to put the pegs in and everything, and then you're going to take and rake all that ground matter that you just stirred up back onto where your blind meets the ground, because basically, in effect, you're creating another scent barrier. You're sealing everything, and you're also if wind's going to come in your blind, obviously it's probably going to come in your windows, but you don't want to create a little vortex with wind coming in. My blinds don't have a ground in them, so it might be a little bit different if they have a floor, but you guys get the idea. So rake all the stuff out in a square pattern, put your blind down, rake it back against the walls of your blind. It helps camo you in. It helps provide a scent barrier, and it's just makes it look more natural. So guys, if you have any tips that you want to share, I would love to actually talk about them on the air, and I will 100% give you credit. So just head on over to my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Hoffman's Hunting Heritage, and you can just comment on this episode. There's a video link to this episode. You can just comment right there. It serves as the discussion thread for everything we talk about in each episode, and it's just a great place to connect with me, to let me know that you like the show. And if you think my tips are dumb, whatever, let me know. If you think they're a great idea, which of course they are, that works too. So anyway, I really want to appreciate you guys for listening to the show. I know when it comes to outdoors media, you have lots of choices, and I know I'm not asking too much, because I try to keep you around a half an hour each week, but I really do appreciate it. I love this show from the bottom of my heart. There's some huge things coming up in my future in regards to the outdoors industry, and some changes that are happening, and a new position that I've taken on, but that'll all be saved for another day. If you snoop around, I'm sure you can find out about it. But for right now, I'm going to leave you with this. Get outdoors. It's a wild place to be.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Hoffman's Hunting Heritage. Get outdoors. It's a wild place to be.